Hey everyone, so today we're going to talk about Phase 3 BIS gear for Prot Paladins, and I'm going to start off by just walking you through each slot individually, and then I'll show you a bunch of different sets that I've put together. And all of this stuff will be in the description, links for the 70 upgrades, and if I make any tweaks to anything, I'll update that in a pinned comment, so make sure you check the comments. And let's just dive right in. So here we have our Helm slot. We're going to either be using Lightbringer Faceguard, the Tier 6 Helm, or the faceplate of the Impenetrable. Lightbringer Faceguard is a pretty awesome piece. It's got a lot of stuff you want. It's got some mitigation, some spell power, pretty great. The faceplate of the Impenetrable, it's more of a just pure mitigation piece. Got a ton of block rating. This is going to give you a lot of stats for Uncrushable. And for Illidan tanking, it'll give you a ton of stats that will go towards shear tanking. And so both of those are great options. It'll just kind of depend on what you're doing. Next, we got our next slot, the Darkener's Grasp. If you don't already have that, definitely recommend picking that up before the phase change, because that is super useful. I'm using it in a lot of my phase 3 sets. And you have some other options here. The Translucent Spell Thread Necklace, it's a really crazy threat neck, but it has 0 stam. I'm not a huge fan of no stam items on Prot Paladin, but after all the casters get this, you might as well grab it. You can maybe fit it into some of your sets, but I wouldn't try to leapfrog anybody for that. Vindicator's Pendant of Dominance, PvP trinket, or neck. Pretty nice neck, gives you some pure spell damage, some resilience. So this is good for like uncrit sets, trash sets, that kind of stuff where you're just trying to get uncrittable and get a little extra spell damage in the process. And next, Lightbringer shoulder pads, shoulder guards. This is really the only item in the slot you're going to want, so tier 6 shoulders for sure. And I should talk real quick about the set bonuses for tier 6 also. So the first set bonus increases mana gain from Spiritual Attunement by 10%. Just so you know, that only takes it up to 11% total. It's not going to take it from 10 to 20%. It's multiplicative, not additive. So it's not as good as you might have thought it was when you read it, but it is still pretty nice to get an extra little mana there. And the other bonus, the Consecration bonus, 10% more damage. Theoretically, this will be 10% total damage, but we don't know for sure until we do some testing on this. If it ends up being base damage, obviously that's going to be a lot weaker, but hopefully that's 10% total Consecration damage. Next, we've got our Cloak, so Ruby Drape of the Mysticant. Really awesome cloak. It's pretty much the best cloak in the game for us through all the phases. So try to get that if you don't already have it. If you're like me, you've been farming Kara for many months and you've never seen it. So there are some other cloaks you can use. Royal Cloak of the Sunstriders, really awesome cloak for trash. Basically, drop the spell hit, pick up some spell damage since you won't need the spell hit on trash. And Gilded Thorium Cloak, also from Karazhan. It's one of the few cloaks in the game with armor on it. It might be the only cloak in the game with armor on it at the moment, too. And this is just an awesome piece. It gives you some extra armor, makes you a little tankier. So that's useful in some situations, too. And for chest, you're really just going to be using the tier 6 chest, Lightbringer chest guard. And also I should mention about the gems. So the epic gems in this phase are a little bit different. So currently when you use a glowing gem, you actually gain some stats because with the blue glowing gems, 2 of them gives you a little more total stats than using a single red plus a single blue. However, that flips with the epic gems, and you actually lose 1 stamina by doing 2 glowings versus doing one spell power gem plus 1 straight stamina gem. So you do lose 1 stamina there. However, I think it's still worth going for the glowings here because I want a little extra stamina, but a lot of the stuff in this tier you'll see as red and yellow sockets. So you're gonna have to break your set bonuses if you do want to jump pure stam. It's something you can do if that's what you're interested in. But for me personally, I like just grabbing these set bonuses. They're all pretty useful, I think. Like this one, 6 stamina. So even though you're losing 1 stamina by using the glowings here versus like a solid plus a ruined, you pick up the saga bonus, so you actually gain some stamina. And all of these stats are useful to me, so this is what I'm going with. I'm mostly going with Veiled in yellow sockets, Glowing in red sockets, and then Solid in blue. There's really only 1 blue socket in the BIS in this tier though, so that's going to be the belt. And also for your chest enchant, depending on your gear, at some points you may want to use 6 stats, at some points you might want to use 150 health, at other points you might want to use 15 resilience. So just, you can kind of change your enchant based on what your gear is looking like at the moment, which sets you're using more often than others, and so that'll kind of vary. But you also will eventually want to pick up multiple of certain pieces just so you can have different enchants on them for different sets of gear. And let's move on to bracers. So the Seeker's wrist guards are really awesome bracers. Block rating, defense, damage, stamina. It's got pretty much everything we want on it. Really awesome bracers. You can potentially pick up these focused mana bindings, spell hit, spell damage bracers. This is going to be for fights where you're either not tanking at all or you're tanking something that does very little damage, so you can get away with wearing a cloth piece. I would wait till all the casters that want that have it though before you try to get that. Next is going to be Tempest of Chaos. That's pretty much our base for the game. There are some other close things in Sunwell depending on what you're doing. Since this does have spell hit on it, there are some slightly higher spell damage items later that you might use for like trash or something. And here are just some like close alternatives that you can use while you're waiting on Tempest of Chaos, because depending on your guild, this could take you a while to get. You might not be prioritized for it. So the Season 3 Mace, if you're able to PvP for that, that's a pretty good alternative. And also Hydraul Trash drops the Hammer of Judgment, which is a really solid mace. So that's a good item to hold you over until you can get Tempest of Chaos. And for our shield, we want Antonidas' Aegis of Wrapped Concentration. It's got a ton of armor, ton of spell damage. It's got spell crit, which isn't our best stat, but it does become a little more valuable in tier 6, just because you can use exorcism on way more stuff in tier 6 compared to the tier 5 and tier 4 stuff. And also there's some new trinkets and stuff that can crit, and so it'll help with that too, which I will talk about in a little bit. And you have a couple options here for shields also. Illidari Rune Shield, that's a shield off the Black Temple Trash. That's a pretty good shield to hold you over. Also just the Season 2 shield is really nice. It's pretty close to the Illidari Rune Shield, honestly. And Season 3 shield, also solid option. And Bulwark of Azeroth, really tanky shield. So if you're going for like a heavy mitigation set, you could possibly swap in the Bulwark of Azeroth, and it looks really cool too, which is always a plus. And next, let's move on to gloves. Your only option is really going to be the tier 6 gloves here. Pretty simple. And belt. Girdle of Mighty Resolves. That's probably going to be the main one we're going to use for most of our sets. You can use Cord of Screaming Terror from Lurker Below too. That's a really crazy threat belt. So anything that hits pretty weak or you're not tanking at all, you can throw that in if you can get away with a cloth piece or two. And Cord of Screaming Terror is also super awesome for tanking the fire elementals on Illidan, since your armor doesn't actually matter for that. Wearing cloth won't matter, so you can get a ton of really awesome threat stats that way. I threw Monsoon Belt in here just in case you don't have the Cord of Screaming Terrors. This is still a really good belt option, and it's kind of a middle ground. You get 400 more armor than the Cord, but if you have the Cord and you're in a situation where you're dropping armor for threat stuff, I would just use the Cord here. Next, we got our legs. So generally, you're just going to be wearing the tier 6 legs here. But you can also, another cloth piece, which has crazy threat stats on it. If you can get away with it, go for it. But I think for most things, you'll be wearing the tier 6. Then for boots, we got Tide Stomper's Greaves. These are pretty great boots. They're just a direct upgrade from the boots of the Protector and other boots that we have right now available. And here's another cloth threat piece for you, blue suede shoes. And again, if you can get away with it on some fight, you can throw these on. And let's look at rings. So for rings, I definitely recommend for your Hajjal rep ring picking up the spell power ring. The proc's pretty cool, and it's going to give you 95 spell damage. It's got a 1 minute internal cooldown, I believe. So the uptime, it's not going to be crazy. It's probably going to be like, I don't know, 10% uptime, something like that. So not a bad ring. Definitely for like trash, you're going to be fighting like tons of AoE packs and like Hajjal and stuff. So this will be a super strong ring for that. And let's look at some other options here. So Ashen's Gift, still an amazing ring. Stamina, spell hit, spell damage, great ring. You can also use Vindicator's Band of Dominance for some stuff. This will be mainly for like trash or like an uncritable set. And the spell penetration is not going to do anything for us, but it'll give you spell damage, resilience, stamina. Those are the main things we're looking at there. 7th ring of the Tears Fallon, still a solid ring when you need to get uncrushable stats. I'm finding myself putting this in like my shear sets for Illidan. And Ring of Captured Storms, this is just like the neck we were talking about earlier. It's got crazy threat stats on it, but no stamina. So let the casters get this one first. If you get a ton of them, take one once everybody else has one. Seal of Danzilar, always a pretty interesting ring since it has resilience, armor, stamina, damage. You'll be able to fit that into some of your sets too. Really good trash ring. And Trinkets. This is pretty fun. We get a lot of new trinkets. So Dark Moon card Vengeance. This is a pretty interesting one. So it's a combo trinket in that it gives you more survivability, gives you a ton of stamina, And it also has this proc that does damage, and it's holy damage. See, the Ash Tongue Talisman of Zeal, this is an interesting one, because what it does, it's going to put a damage over time effect on the target, but only 50% of the time when you cast Judgment. So the uptime on this, in the long run, it'll be 50% uptime if you have improved Judgment. I'm currently the 0-40-21 spec, so I do have Imp Judgment. So theoretically, 50% uptime. However, could get really bad RNG on this. It could be really bad in some fights, really good in other fights, depending on how lucky you are. And we don't know a whole lot about this trinket right now. So I'll update you guys later once we have more info on this. But we need to find out a little bit more about exactly how it functions, like if it has a spell coefficient at all, can we increase the damage of it with our spell power, and can it partial resist, things like that. But I did see in a Wowhead comment that there was a point where the damage over time was refreshed every time you just white attacked your target. That's not the final state that this trinket is supposed to be in. However, if you've been paying attention to TBC at all, we've been getting a lot of stuff that isn't tuned the way that Blizzard has intended it for it to be tuned. So there may be a brief time where this trinket is bugged and behaving in that old way where it refreshes every time there's a white attack. So keep an eye on that, because it may be super overpowered for a little bit until they fix that. Let's look at some other trinkets. So Mark of the Champion, if you're lucky enough to have killed Kel'Thuzad on your Paladin and have this, then this is going to be an amazing trinket for a ton of stuff in Tier 6. Unfortunately, I do not have this. But yeah, for like Hyjal, pretty much any boss that is a demon or undead, it's going to be really strong. The Darkmoon card Madness, this is really just for the stamina. You're not going to kill too many things. I mean, for trash, like, you'll be killing some stuff that you could proc the equip effect on, but for like bosses and stuff, this is just going to be for the stamina pretty much. The Battlemaster's Audacity, this is from PvP. It's kind of an interesting trinket because it gives you just a spell damage passive, and it gives you an oh shit button to press. So it gives you a nice little 1750 HP buff you can pop. So it's kind of an interesting trinket because it's sort of like Vengeance in that it's one of those mixes of mitigation and threat. In this case, it's not passive mitigation, it's just, or survivability rather. But decent trinket. I think there might be some things I'd use it for, just something to keep an eye on. Might fit your playstyle more. Icon of the Solar Crescent, still an awesome trinket. Has a on use for spell damage, so we can time it with key moments in fights and with our other cooldowns. Always a good trinket. Dark Iron Smoking Pipe, same thing, of course. Tome of Fiery Redemption. This is still a great trinket for trash and all sorts of stuff. You can also proc this before you pull, get a little spell damage buff, and then swap to a different trinket. And Shadow Moon Insignia. I'm not really a huge fan of this trinket. It just gives you too many mitigation stats, I think, and mitigation stats are super plentiful in this tier. So I generally stay away from this. You might be able to use it in like a shear set for Illidan, possibly for tanking fire elementals too on Illidan. But yeah, those are all the trinket options you have for the most part. And then for our Libram, we're still, of course, going to be using our Libram of Repentance quite a bit. Libram of the Eternal Rest. Anytime we don't need the extra shield block rating, get some extra consecration damage. And then we've got this new one too, Tome of the Lightbringer. So when we use Judgment, we're going to increase our shield block value by 186 for 5 seconds. So that's pretty good uptime, and that's a lot of shield block value. At the moment, I don't know if this benefits from the shield specialization talent or not. That would be an extra little bonus for that, but a lot of people aren't even picking up shield spec in this tier because this gear, you may have noticed, has very little block value on it. A lot of the gear, or a lot of the slots in tier 5 that we had that had block value on it, those pieces now just have like dodge rating instead. So your block rating is actually going to be pretty low. It's going to be like 250. So Tome of the Lightbringer is almost going to double your block value, which is kind of insane. So anytime you need some extra block value, this is a really good option. All right, now we're going to look at some different sets that I've put together. And depending on your role in your guild and just your raid comp and what kind of group you're in, stuff like that, these sets may need to be tweaked a little bit for you, or you might just be able to use the same sets that I'm looking to use. So let's take a look here. So this is my Uncrushable Threat variant. And highlights of this: 14k HP, 867 spell power, 11.32% spell hit, 18.8k armor, and currently this is using 2 trinkets that don't give any spell power or anything. So like I said before, these ones may change depending on what new information we learn about them. So this is the balanced uncrushable set. So key differences here: uses faceplate of the impenetrable instead of the tier 6 helm, and uses Tome of the Lightbringer instead of Libram of Repentance. And so this will have quite a bit more block value in this set, and you'll also gain about 200 HP, 100 armor. So just a slightly tankier version of Uncrush. And then this is my Chonky Uncrush set. So this one goes way more into survivability than the other two. So this one's going to have 15.2k HP. It's going to have 762 spell damage, 7.84% hit, and 19.9k armor, just short of 20k. So this is going to be a much more defensive-oriented set than the other two. Next, we've got our Uncrit Boss Set. So all this really changes from the Uncrushable Threat Set. Is it uses the PvP neck, and it also has resilience enchants on chest and shield. My Uncrushable set isn't actually uncritable passively. It's uncritable through avoidance, pushing crits off the table instead of just being straight immune. So that's why this set is basically the Uncrushable set with just a couple changes that add more resilience to it. And this set's going to be 903 spell damage, 13.6k HP, 11.32% spell hit, 18.8k armor. And this is the trash set I'm planning to use for most stuff. Of course, depending on what trash you're fighting, you may tweak some things, but this is a general idea of a trash set I'm going to use. So main things to note: Royal Cloak of the Sunstriders, really awesome trash cloak. Gives a ton of spell damage. We don't need the spell hit from the Ruby Drape of the Mysticant for trash. It's going to use the PvP neck, so as you can see, that's in a couple of my sets now. So if you have any honor points, this is a good thing to invest in. You'll probably get the most bang for your buck out of this compared to some of the other pieces. And for trinkets, this is pretty variable. For a lot of trash, you're just gonna want to be swapping between Dark Iron Smoking Pipe, an Icon of the Silver Crescent for one of your slots, and then you can use like Tome of Fire Redemption for the other slot. Or if you feel like you need a little more survivability on the trash, you can throw in the Dark Moon card Vengeance. You will be fighting a lot of AoE trash, so you'll get a ton of procs on Dark Moon card Vengeance, so pretty solid option. And the Seal of Danzilar, awesome trash ring, gives you resilience, armor, spell damage, really great trash ring. And Band of Eternal Sage, always a great trash ring. The proc is super good for AoE trash. And those are kind of the main things for this set. Alright, so the last thing we're going to look at here is a Illidan Fire Elemental Resist Tanking set. And the keys for this set are you want as close to Fire Res cap as you can get, 365, and 5.6% reduced chance to be crit. And since we have to wear so much resistance gear, it's going to be pretty important for us to get a lot of that crit reduction from resilience. So we're going to use quite a few PvP pieces. So this is the set that I've put together, and this set is going to have 360 fire resistance buffed, and it's also crit immune, and 619 spell power, 9.5% spell hit, and the HP is going to be 12k. So this is a pretty good set, I think. If you find that you don't actually need that much fire resistance and you can drop a little bit, good option here is Vindicator's Pendant of Dominance, PvP neck, and you can replace some of the resilience gems with some spell hit gems. If you find that you're able to drop like 30 fire res, those are pretty good options. And main things to look at here, the Fell Barrier. This is from Heroic Mana Tomb, so something you can work on getting right now. I just threw Tempest of Chaos in here just in case you get that before you kill Illidan. And yeah, this set is going to require quite a bit of PvP gear. So what you can do to prepare for that, if you get as many arena points as you can right now, at the end of the season, those arena points will be converted to 10 times their value in honor. So if you have 5,000 arena points saved up, you'll get 50,000 to honor. So that'll let you get most of these pieces. So something you can work on now. And all these Inferno tempered pieces here, these are all from Badges of Justice from Heroics. So all of this stuff is obtainable now, all stuff you can work towards, except for Dark Moon card Vengeance, but you can replace that with something else if you want to. Also, something you might be able to get before you actually do Illidan for the first time. Alright, I hope you guys found this video helpful. If you guys have any questions, just leave a comment. Always happy to answer those. And I'll see you in the next one.